What we have here is a trail that's leading us to a water source. That water source is supposedly going to take us on a little journey to a really neat destination. And there's actually two destinations in this video. A few years ago, my friend Adam Z was here, and when I saw what was here, I knew I wanted to see it for myself. Now, although the destinations are important, as we know, the journey can be equally as important. So if you'd like to see what we come across today, well, you'll just have to come along with me. As you can probably hear, there's a loud highway over here, and I may not be the only person here. I am seeing some footprints heading the same direction. On the opposite side here, there is some recent work being done on the landscape here with some heavy equipment. I'm not sure what's going on, but hopefully it doesn't affect either of our destinations. Where we're heading is basically up in that direction. I believe we're heading in the right direction. I am hearing the distinct sound of moving water. Landscape has changed drastically from what we showed earlier. We're heading down right now, but in reality we will be climbing an elevation to our destinations. So 100% we're in the right area, and I have confirmation because of that. That is a pipe that runs underground. And that's a good sign because that means that we're in the right area, and we're basically going to be tracing the pipe upwards. As you can see, it kind of is rising in elevation as I explained it would. Someone's had some fun here. Well, most of you probably know where this pipe goes to. Typically, as we see in the past with my other videos, those pipes typically run out of reservoirs. So that means one of our two destinations is a reservoir higher up the mountain. I don't know if it's active or abandoned. The one thing I do know is that Adam said that it was dredged a few years ago. I think around 3-4 years ago. They dredged it to make it deeper. So I do know it's up here. That's where the water is flowing from. But there is another destination between here and that reservoir. Now we got a nice slide right here into a pool of water with another gorgeous pool just above it. This one is almost deep enough to jump into. It's probably between 3 to 5 feet. But that looks stunning right there. It's a nice little calm before the spillway here, so to speak. The bedrock spillway. And down here you can see some alterations made to help erosion. They have some rocks screened in with fencing to stop any erosion from higher water levels. I may or may not go in here because our first destination is related to this. Not this location, but something similar to this. But I do want to at least get up there and get a glimpse of that. Here we are, right in the water itself. A bit on the cool side, but it feels really nice. And now you can see the backside of the rock slide. I bet you've had like a small inner tube. You can slide right down there and splash right into that pool. But here is what I wanted to show you because it's just a nice little calm, peaceful area here. The water's only up to just below my knees, and it's flowing down ever so gracefully through nature here. It's quite stunning. But I don't want to spoil myself yet, although that does look inviting, that little swimming hole. I do know there is something better up ahead. There's a nice undercut of the rock, and this is formed from water. After a spring thaw or heavy rains, this water level will raise significantly, and water will flow here and over a long duration carve that out into what we see. Most likely it probably started much farther out, but after decades, if not centuries, or even longer, it's created a cavity here. Looks like we have some car wreckage here. If I'm not mistaken, this looks like part of a car. It looks like a wheel well. Like maybe the trunk lid or the inside floor. Maybe a fender. Because there is an access road up there for the reservoir. This could have been pushed off. Could have been deliberately pushed off, could have been an accident, who knows, but it's been here for a long, long time. Like a connection for a pipe. Probably the same pipe we saw, which is going just up there along the landscape. This place keeps getting better after every few feet. We're coming across little tiny waterfalls like this and nice shady areas. I think closer to winter time, I'll be coming back here with my Nikon camera and get some slow shutter shots of these cascading falls. There is a conduit pipe here. It's almost like for a utility line. There's another section of it over there too. It almost looks like a pretty deep undercut of the rock up there too, the dark spot, but I don't think it goes in anywhere from what I could see. As mentioned, the pipe is right there. We're basically tracing it, following the path of the water, which is going to lead us directly to both of our destinations. That's why I'm going through the water, not up there. It's a lot thicker and much higher chance of getting some ticks up there than I will down here. There's a nice little pool of water here. I'm not going to pull out the gear and investigate it, but I do want to walk in it, wade in it, and just show you how deep it is. And then we're going to continue upstream. A little chilly. I gotta bring you over here because where that little waterfall is, there's like a lip there and like a pocket where bubbles and the water is kind of recirculating. It looks like something I've never seen before, so I'm gonna give you a view of it from the outside and inside. I almost lost my footing a few times because there's some boulders under here which were not really in place. They're moving around as I step on them. Now I'm not sure if you could see, but I'm going to point it out. Right there is a lip and a pocket. So the water is temporarily getting trapped there, forming some bubbles, but it also looks like it goes in. So I'm going to slowly inch you guys into that, and we'll see if we can see anything on the inside. Another tree partially defying gravity. You could tell though that when this tree started growing, the earth was beneath it. It's been getting washed away just like it is right now. It's actively being eroded, but the tree is still surviving. It's a healthy, lush green tree. And as I mentioned, it's always fascinating how nature can adapt to its environment. If you can't tell, I'm also keeping this video very natural and raw, meaning I'm not doing a whole lot of montages or video edits or music interludes. I want you basically to feel like you are here with me and to hear and see what I see. So even though it's not very slippery rock, even though it's not as fast paced as some of my other videos, this is basically as close as you could come to being here with me. And that's my goal, is to make you feel like you are on this journey with me. That's the whole reason of me saying come along with me, because it is the truth. If you can't get out and do it yourself, you're certainly welcome to come along with me in my video adventures. This landscape though is spectacular. You wouldn't think that all this is back here until you actually get out and see it for yourself. And when I saw Adam's video here, it definitely didn't do it justice, and it's nothing he did wrong. That's just how it is in our videos. Cameras and perspectives never really show you what the true location is like. It's basically a teaser. This is the deepest hole yet. Just about my waist. And then it shallows out up here. Go through a pretty tight rock cut section, which I'm hoping we could traverse. If not, we're gonna have to get up on the landscape. But it looks much different from what we've seen so far. This is so slippery. It's like a water slide. I think it gets pretty deep here. That was more challenging than I thought it was going to be. It's a pure, flat, slick bedrock bottom, and there's like a coating of film, and it's really slick. So it's basically inching my way up here. If it was deeper, I'd probably slide down as like a water slide. But there's some kind of craters formed here, and up here is a more substantial waterfall. But we haven't reached our destination yet. This is all part of the journey. That's why I'm filming all this, because this is too great not to show and share. All the nature's carpet. This is gonna be a little tricky going up here, but it does flatten out. Nothing to grab onto. Everything's wet and slick. Ugh. I'm basically holding out with one hand here. If I let go, I'm going to slide right back in. Oh man. Maybe not the best way to go, but I am committed to it. Oh. That was a little tricky. Really slippery. No matter what kind of footwear I would have, I would slip. So it's not a matter of that, it's just the conditions. Came upon another big pool of water. This one looks about as deep as the other ones. There's another rock slide past it, and I think just beyond that might be our first destination. I'm gonna go scout it out. I'm gonna leave you guys with my bag, and I'll make sure that that's what we need and that we're in the right location. And if it is, we're gonna show you what that has to offer. If not, regardless, you're gonna sit here and take in the views and the sounds of the water. Wish me luck. Well, I got some good news and bad news. Good news is I found a water slide that we could do. I'm not sure if you just saw it or not, but it came down pretty decently fast. Bad news is that's not the location or our first destination. Now, there is something worth checking out, but we still need to go further up. And we need to go up on the landscape because it gets just too narrow and too steep. But there is something I want to show you, and once I show you that, we'll take the water slide back down here. So this is what I want to show you that I thought was our destination, but it's not. But it's basically another waterfall coming down to a crater or pothole with another crater or pothole within itself. I'm going to show you. I'm going to walk right there. You'll see how deep it is, and you'll see it goes deeper there. Here's the other pothole. About 4 feet deep or so. But now we have to go back and get my bag and climb up there because I can't make it that way without getting my bag wet, which I can't do. So we're gonna slide down on our butts on the water slide. We're gonna get an orange bottom, but that's okay. Are you ready? Oh! Not a very graceful landing, but it's better than nothing. Now the pipeline I mentioned earlier is right here. It's buried and protected under this material, which is more or less a pathway now. We're up higher now. We were down there, around the bend. I forgot to mention too, this is a good segue for it, that Adam called this the hidden 7 tubs. Now the hidden 7, the real 7 tubs is off of Route 115 in Bear Creek. We're nowhere near that. But there are little tubs or pools that have formed. And I do see our first destination up ahead. I'm not sure if you got a glimpse of it, but there's something pretty spectacular up here. And I'm glad we found it, because I was getting a little bit concerned that maybe we passed it. We're in the wrong area, but we are 100% on target here for destination number 1. And I need to get back in the water because I'm going through the brush and I don't like getting things latching onto me. That's better. All right, you guys ready for this? You're gonna love this. Welcome to destination number 1. A huge, deep swimming pool and an awesome waterfall that you can actually go behind. I brought my flashlight, my snorkel, my goggles. We're gonna go in here, see what it's like, and more importantly, get behind the waterfall. This is really, really deep. It's almost scary deep. I can't see the bottom. So a quick update. The waterfall is causing it to be not really clear conditions. I can only see a few feet. I can't even see the bottom. It's got to be over 10 feet deep, if not deeper. So I'm a little bit concerned because, you know, once you're in here, there's nowhere to go except either all the way through or back out. There's no sides, there's no ledges, so you are in a rather difficult spot. Now, I am confident in my skills and ability to swim, but I just had that unknown anxiety of what's down there, you know, or is there going to be an unknown encounter with an animal or something like that. So I'm going to kind of slowly get used to it and make my way in slowly but surely, and one way or the other, we're going to get to that waterfall and get behind it. Oh, I got bad news. My goggles broke. Right here. They cracked and split. I was going under, I'm like, why does it keep getting water in there? I had them as tight as I could get. Well, they split, and it's not a watertight seal now. And I can't use them because they're filling up with water. I have other goggles at home, that's not going to help me now, but I may end up just having to swim on the surface with the camera to get to the waterfall. This is like, what a time to happen. And I used these two just last week and they were fine. I could probably fix them with some glue, but it's not going to help me now. As I was explaining, my goggles are cracked. The housing around the eye part, so it's allowing water to get in. I tried about 4 different times to scout this area and I can't get more than 3 feet before it starts filling up. It's disappointing, but I'm not going to let it stop me. I have you guys with your waterproof. I do have the flashlight. I'm going to go around the edge here and basically show you beneath the surface. You can't see very far. It is kind of cloudy from the waterfall and it's super deep. It's over 10 feet deep, probably closer to 15. I cannot see the bottom at all. The other thing I'm planning on doing though is probably jumping in from up there if it's safe. It's definitely deep enough. I just have to see what the ledge is like up there. But this is something else, but we're going to persevere on. It's not going to be quits yet. We're still going to scout this out, investigate it a little bit, and we still have our second destination. But that means sometime in the future, whether it's this summer or next summer, I will be back to this hole with gear that's operating as it should, and we'll do a more thorough investigation beneath the surface here. As you can probably tell, there's a ledge here. So it shapes around. I'm standing on one ledge right now. Then there's another tier, which I'm going to stand on, and then it drops off to oblivion. Okay, I'm standing on the second ledge. You can see how deep it is. It's about 5 feet deep. And there's no ledges inside of here. It's just walls of rock. But there is a type of cave or cavity behind that waterfall, which has me really intrigued. So I think we're gonna have to just swim over there the normal way instead of snorkeling it and see what that's all about. Hopefully there's somewhere to stand over there or something to grab onto, because I don't really want to have to try to keep myself up the entire time. Typically where the water falls is where it's steepest, but that'll be determined once we get over there. But I'm going to show you underneath the water now, right where we are, so you can see what the landscape is like. Probably can't hear me too well, but as you saw, you can't see a whole lot. There's stirred up from the water and it's just super, super deep. Well, I do have a little bit of good news. I went up on top and scouted it. It does get shallower, at least there's edges by the waterfall, so it's not going to be, you know, indefinitely deep the entire way. We have to go over the deep part. I'm going to basically swim on the surface, bring you guys along on this camera. I'm going to bring my flashlight so we can see behind the waterfall. But I feel a bit better now knowing that once I get over there, I don't have to keep myself afloat the entire time. There will be a place for me to rest and to basically get my energy back to swim back. So the next footage you're going to see is us swimming across that bottomless pit. I'm leaving the rest of my gear there. I got the flashlight in my shirt, and we're going to swim across Fingers crossed that I don't drop you guys, I don't lose the flashlight, and that there's some place to stand over there. I'm a little bit worried, but I feel confident enough, and I'm curious enough to see what's behind the waterfall. Let's hope it's not a bear or anything, because my protection's back over here. So, let's go. I'm over the deepest part now, probably 15 feet at least. It's rather crazy. I think I can touch something here. Okay, I'm by a wall. I'm basically floating on the surface. There's a rocky ledge that basically is slippery. Hang on, I gotta get a better footing here. Alright, it's not as good as I thought it was gonna be. Okay, there we go. I found the ledge. Still got the flashlight. Whew. This is intense. That's a pretty good force of water coming down. Okay, so there is a pocket back there. I think we could get behind it. Let's try. So slippery. This is what's back here is a large rock that's placed here, a rock fall behind it. It goes back maybe about 6 to 8 feet. The other side now, hopefully you can hear me. It goes back a little bit further back there. It's all wet. That's up on top. Big rock right over me, which is forming the waterfall spillway, and then the waterfall itself. And that's looking back where we came from. That was a little crazy. And you never can be too careful, although I'm not afraid of them. I don't want to inadvertently get them mad at me. I had my bag and my phone right here just a few minutes ago, and look what's right here. Compared to my flashlight, that's how big he is. He's about a silver dollar size. Pretty good sized spider. I did decide against jumping in. I don't want to do it unless I have somebody with me here, because if you don't get it right, you could basically bounce your head off one of the rock walls, and if you're unconscious in the water, it's game over. So I would definitely be brave enough to do it. I just don't want to do it alone. I think it's a smart thing to do. But that was one of the coolest waterfalls I've ever come across that has a cave behind it. So top side here, this big rock here is where the water's flowing over. So that one's coming down, resting on another one underneath. So we were basically looking to around that area there once I was underneath there. And I had such a difficult time because the rock is just a slick surface. I couldn't get any footings or grab onto anything. I kept wanting to slide right back into the falls. I didn't want to get caught in that. So despite the effort I went through, it was worth it, but it was tedious to say the least. That was destination number 1 of our journey. Now we're still going to be following the water, but not in the water. We're going to be following where the water is coming from to destination number 2, which is leading us to our first signs of it here. There is a structure up here, which I do remember seeing. I think it's a pipe house. And just up there, I think it's starting to rain. That's okay, we're already wet. That's the access road that would take you directly to the reservoir for personnel or equipment when they came to dredge it. Now this is a fair distance below the reservoir. It's a brick structure, not terribly old, but it's been here for a while. A lot of bugs around here too. And it's basically, let me get my flashlight, just a pipe house, as I said, because it's just housing a pipe. I don't know for what use though. It is a curved rooftop. There's spiders, moths, there's even a bird's nest right there. There's cave crickets. So it's a home now for all types of things, but this is in relation to the reservoir. Backside of here is a graded vent. Almost looks like surveyor's tape. Now I have two choices from here. I can either go up on the road, which is about 25-30 feet right there, or I can stay through here. Realistically, that'd be the easier, quicker way. Less chance of ticks and stuff like that. But down here, it's more scenic, higher chance of ticks. Let me see how difficult it is going through here. If it's not too thick, then we'll continue on. If it gets to be too bad, I'm going to head up on the access road. Access road it is. Got to be too steep and too thick down there. Wasn't worth the struggle and the effort. Oh, look at down here. We got a valve spewing water out. Similar to what I saw behind the number 7 reservoir. The pipe is there, there's a valve, and there's a spout coming off. I wonder if the reservoir is being drained, or if that's just to keep the pipe clear. Looks like there's a crossing here too. Gotta love weathermen. I picked today because it's not supposed to rain, and it's raining. So this is I guess more modern. It's a concrete passage here. I guess so it doesn't get eroded away. And like up ahead, there we are. I see the spillway. It's flowing over it, not significantly. Welcome to destination number 2. I do hear a motor up there. It might be some off-roaders. So here is a pretty substantial spillway, which is still serving its intended purpose. But I want to get up closer to it. This is not the true base here. This is a poured concrete bed here to help prevent erosion. So it's concrete and bedrock. Yeah, I do hear a bunch of off-roaders. Oh, look at, that's probably the valve house there. And as you see me walking up to the wall here, you can see just how big it is compared to me. It's probably 25, 30 feet tall. Probably closer to 25. Completely made out of blocks of stone. It's pretty neat they implemented this building right off of the flow of the spillway. Not even really a space here. The water can ultimately flow right over the top of it, but it's actually flowing inside of it now because probably just deterioration from the material. Used to be a door here too. It's actually oh, it stinks in here. Yeah, there's water in here. A frame to something. There's the valves. It's got a wood roof beneath the stone. So it's all blocks. It's hand stacked. And there's the mortar and stuff. It's just deteriorated away. So water is actively leaking in here. A few inches of water there. And then it just kind of spills out here. You can see the brackets where the door would have been hanging there on those pins. And here's the other side of it. There were people up there, as mentioned, they're checking it out too. They arrived here much quicker than I did, but I got to see the more scenic view. I got to explore some amazing things along the way here. We're walking on top of the roof now of the valve house. As mentioned, there are some cracks, some areas where water is seeping through. It's not watertight. But it's the first time I've ever seen a spillway with a valve house constructed right in the midst of it, where water essentially is supposed to flow over it during higher water levels. This is a good size though, I would say. So this size is a bit deeper, definitely at least 30 feet there. And say end to end, probably, let's say 60, 70 feet across. But let's get up on top and get some views from there. All right, we're up on top now. I do have some company with me. They said his name is Gizmo. Oh, there he goes. So last time Adam was here, this was down much more than what it is. The water wasn't even coming over the spillway. And we got some more individuals coming up here. Popular spot. So he said that this was dredged a few years ago. I'd say maybe 3-4 years at the most. So it's deeper than it used to be, because it was filled up with sediment and it wasn't deep enough to hold the amount of water that it does. It's a really nice body of water though. And here is a neat contraption. That's like an overhead gantry crane arm, and probably a portable one that they bring here to lift up these doors to gain access to the pipe system which connects inside the valve house. That's my guess, my speculation. Now, if my goggles weren't broken, I would snorkel this a little bit to see what it's like. It is deep and it's somewhat clear. Unfortunately, overcast skies are allowing not the best visibility conditions, but I could see right here down at least 4 or 5 feet. But like I said, I'll be back in the future with better gear, proper gear. Maybe, if anything, I will stick you guys on my extended stick before we leave and just get you a view inside of here. This will also be a great spot to float on my rubber duck floaty or even a raft, especially if you have an easy way to get here. Now, I don't know if this is an active reservoir. That's the only thing I'm not aware of. I'm guessing it's like maybe a reserve or a backup, and the fact that they did dredge it means it's being used to some capacity. But there's no posted signs, there's nothing stating that we can't be here. And as you can tell, it's a popular spot. Pretty neat. These reservoirs are always fascinating because they're all very similar but unique in their own way. Whether the construction elements, the size of them, the depth of them, the access to them, they all are unique in their own way. But as promised, we're going to get some footage beneath the surface. I don't know how far we're going to be able to see, but it's better than nothing. I was talking with those guys a little bit. They're relatively local to the area and come up here pretty often. And they're like, have you been to the other reservoir? I'm like, which one? They're like, oh, it's across the road. And after he explained, I'm like, yeah, I've been there. That was the one that gets fed by the 40-foot falls. And I've done some drone footage of that reservoir. So if you want to see that one, I'll have a link down below. As far as this one goes, they said it's really deep. I don't know how deep it goes. You guys saw I stuck you in as far as I could go. I actually had the whole stick, which is as tall as me, plus the little tripod, all the way underwater with me sticking my arm all the way in, and I couldn't touch bottom. I don't know if we saw bottom or not, but the sun finally came out, so at least to help with visibility a little bit. But this was something I wanted to see for a few years, ever since, as I mentioned, Adam's been here. But ever since they dredged it, it got filled back up. It's operating as it should, as a normal reservoir. The water is near at capacity, flowing over the spillway. But I think, as far as I can remember, this is my first time ever doing a 2-destination video. Usually I have one target, one destination in mind. Sometimes we find things along the way, but this time I had 2 particular spots I wanted to focus on. The first one being that deep pool of water with the waterfall, and as far as I know, that's the first for me to see a natural hidden waterfall that you can actually get behind. I know there's tourist attractions that have waterfalls that allow you to get behind them, but not like that. That's rather remote, and they didn't even know about it. I was telling them about it, showing them pictures, like, holy crap, really? So you never know what you're going to find following a source of water. And this being destination number 2, the reservoir, I love seeing these locations because, as I explained earlier, they're all similar but different in their own way. They're all unique. And to see that it is not being decommissioned, it's not drained, it's not empty, it's a neat location. You've got the huge spillway here, the valve house, the pipe house, gorgeous views. One thing I want from you guys before the video's over is to tell me which destination was your favorite. Was it that deep swimming hole with the waterfall? Or was it this? Or was it both? Whatever it is, tell me what it is and tell me why. For me, it's a toss-up. I like both of them equally for separate reasons because I already explained it to you. They're just fantastic to see, and the journey really proved that there's so much more than just the destination that you reach. I brought you guys along on this journey and did what I can to make you feel like you were there with me, with the good, the bad, the dangerous, the fun. We did it all, and despite how long this video is and not doing it, butterfly, squirrel moment, despite me not doing it like a traditional video with video montages, music, kind of speed up the pace, I think for something like this, it worked out the way it did. So your feedback is always encouraged and welcome to let me know your thoughts as well. So I'm gonna take a few pictures, enjoy a little bit more time here since I do have the place to myself, and I have a long trek back to where I started. So thank you so very much for coming along for this amazing adventure and journey. And if you did enjoy this video, giving it a thumbs up is your best way to show your support, as well as leaving a comment down below. And to see more video adventures just like this one, check the playlist down in the description. Until next time, everyone, I'll see you in the next video.